Hello, and welcome to Tea with Jess. I'm Jess Montgomery, and I'm the author of the Kinship historical mystery series set in 1920s Appalachia and featuring a female sheriff inspired by Ohio's true first female sheriff. And so, thank you for joining me with a little tea break. Today, I'm having my beverage in a mug that says, "A sweet friendship refreshes the soul." Um, and it's not tea that I'm drinking. I'm drinking hot cider, sort of hot. It's hot and it's sort of cider. It's Keurig cider. Um, so it's not quote unquote real cider from the apple orchard, but we'll get to that in just a minute. Um, I also wanted to share that today I was happy to get my page proofs for the Echoes, which is available for pre order now. Just go to my website, jessmontgomeryauthor.com, and you can click on the Echoes under books and pre order it from any of your favorite places that you like to buy books, or go into your local bookstore and ask to pre order it, or go to your library and ask them, will you have this available for me to borrow? The Echoes by Jess Montgomery. All of those would be very greatly appreciated things for you to do to get your hands on the fourth book in the Kinship mystery series. So, page proofs, what that means for me is it's the last chance I get to see my words before they go out into the world. So, I've written the book. It's been to my editor. We've talked about changes. I've made the changes. We've gone over them. It's been through a copy editor. So now it's the final chance to go through and hopefully catch most, if not all, of the small errors that seem to creep into every book out there. So I and a proofreader will be taking a close read over the next week of the Echoes, just to make sure it's as cleaned up as possible, has on its shiniest shoes and its most nicely tied scarf and hair fixed and everything to go out into the world and hopefully entertain and move and delight readers. So the Echoes is set in 1928, and in this novel, Sheriff Lily Ross deals with some secrets that come up from the past to echo forward and touch the present. And also, the secret, once it's revealed in the present, will definitely echo forward into the future. And of course, in the process, she deals with a kidnapping, she deals with a murder, all of which ends up being bound together by this deep family secret. So I hope I've intrigued you. I am very proud of this book and excited for it to get out into the world. So I'm having cider because it's cider season. I love cider. We haven't yet gotten to our favorite orchard, so that's why I'm having Keurig hot cider, but we will get there. And one of the things I wanted to share with you today was uh, a column that I wrote years ago about cider. I used to write a column called Sanity Check for the Dayton Daily News that was about the foibles and the pitfalls of daily life, family life, that kind of thing. And it's actually about me having, when I wrote this, the last glass of that season of cider. So it seems a little odd that I would be reading that now. I haven't even had my first glass of cider this season, right? My first glass of real cider this season. But I wanted to share this with you and to remind myself to not take it for granted, little things like having cider. Um, so it's a little reminder before I even have that first glass that time will go quickly, and before you know it, we'll be at the last glass of cider. So here's my column that I want to share with you. It's called An Ode to Cider. I stare at the last of this season's apple cider, which I have just poured into a wine glass. I've chosen such a fancy glass for what most view as a modest beverage, in honor of the cider itself, knowing that once I've imbibed it, I won't have the chance to enjoy cider for another 10 months or so. I contemplate the deep amber color of the cider. I sniff the crisply tangy yet sweet aroma. Both color and aroma evoke in my mind's eye the scenery along the drive to the orchard where we always buy cider every fall, the Crossroads Orchard, west of the Miami River, nestled on a country road between Miamisburg and Germantown. I see the trees turning yellow, orange, red, their colors so brightly beautiful against a sky burnished to a deep blue from a summer's worth of hot days that it hurts just a little to look at them. Then there's the drive back. We always pause at the top of the hill, to stare down at Miamisburg and the church spire and building tops and tree tops and the river and sometimes a freight train chugging along on the tracks by the river. Then we drive down the hill and quickly lose our bird's eye view. But that's okay. We've just experienced autumn the way we most enjoy it. A pretty little country drive to a pretty little country orchard operated by some of the nicest people we've ever met. We tell ourselves it's just the taste of the cider, unlike the thin, homogenized kind you can get at the grocery, that has inspired us to take this trek, Saturday after Saturday, for about 8 or 9 weeks each fall for the past decade. But secretly, we know it's just as much about the trek itself. And now I'm contemplating my last glass of the year. I'm reluctant to sip it because I have some serious questions. Will I savor the cider or gulp it a little too quickly, as I have several times this autumn, thoughtlessly forgetting to enjoy a pleasure that flits in and out of our lives as quickly as the leaves turn brilliant and then scatter in the first frost-tinged wind? Or should I invest in a freezer just for cider? You can freeze it, you know. You just pour a little off the top of the bottle to give the cider room to expand, and then recap it tightly and pop it in the freezer. It's not as crazy as it sounds. People have cellars just for wine. Why not a freezer just for cider? In its own way, the beverage is just as sweet an experience as wine. I finally take the first sip of my last glass of this year's cider, making sure to savor the sweet, crisp, tart flavor before swallowing. And the answer to my cider freezer question is in the taste and aroma and even the amber color of the cider itself. If I could have cider anytime, say on New Year's Eve or in the midst of February or poolside July 4th, then it wouldn't be a great treat. It would become just another commodity in a big gulp world. I'd forget the lessons that cider teaches me for several quick weeks every fall. To feel gratitude for those who craft things like cider, to pause and enjoy the views, to relish the trek, to sip, to savor. Thank you for indulging me. Uh, and I have a couple comments here. Leica says she loves apple cider. Yes, definitely agree. Mary Ellen Lakes asks, have you had a cider slushy? I have not had a cider slushy, but that sounds really intriguing. I will have to investigate the idea of a cider slushy. Um, so thank you for indulging me and hearing my thoughts about cider, and my little reminder to myself to make sure to savor every glass I get this fall, so that I'm not feeling too mournful at the last glass later this fall. Next Monday, I will have as a guest on Tea with Jess, Erin Flanagan, who has written the novel Deer Season, very appropriate for fall, but it's a mystery mixed with commentary through the characters' actions on small town life and secrets yet again. And yeah, it's a beautifully written book. So I'm looking forward to chatting with Erin Flanagan about her novel Deer Season next Monday. So until then, please enjoy your week. Enjoy cider if you get it. Um, I hope you have a cider place to visit and pick up some cider. And be kind to yourselves and kind to one another. Thank you for being with me on Tea with Jess.